Yeah. So, Lutka, I have a question for you from a listener, and they ask that if they are an F1 student, but they've inadvertently violated that status, and the SEVIS record, is that it? SEVIS
SEVIS.
record
Yes.
is now terminated. So, what are the options?
Okay, so it's not a good situation for the student, but it happens. You know, the students are busy with their studies, they're studying hard, and sometimes it happens that, for example, they forget to extend their I-20, before the expiration deadline, or they for example, drop below the full-time status, all kinds of issues for students. And it's really important that their SEVIS record is still valid. So F1 is a little bit different than any other visa. SEVIS record is super important. So what to do for these students? Typically, there are two options. Number one is travel outside of the United States and re-enter. Number two is a reinstatement. So I'm going to just start with the traveling, just discuss some pros and cons for traveling. So first of all, it's important to see if the student has visa stamp in his or her passport. So if the student does not have the visa, it's a little bit risky because then they would have to go to the U.S. Embassy, of course, get the interview, go through the whole processing, and it may be, there's not a guarantee they're going to get the visa. But let's talk about, student that has the visa stamp. It may be an easy fix for a student to travel out and come back. It's pretty fast. So I would say that's definitely a positive factor. They can go, to Canada for 2-3 days, re-enter, and they're going to regain the F1 status. So that's definitely positive. Of course, they need to check if they're going to a third country, not their home country, so they're not going to India. They need to check if they need visa to that particular country where they're traveling. For Canada, they would need visitor visa. If they have it, great. They can go, they can re-enter, and no issue. The biggest problem that I see with the travel is for students that are planning to apply for OPT, which is work permit, optional practical training, because when they are traveling out, they're going to get I-20 in initial status as an initial student, and they will not be able to apply for OPT, for their work permit, until after one academic year will pass. So, for the students that are in the last year, this is not the greatest option because they'll lose that eligibility for OPT, which is huge for some, especially those in STEM field. Another, thing to consider is that it's risky. There is never a guarantee. At the port of entry, officer may question them and may not let them in. They may be returned and put back on a plane to their home country. So it is risky. Good news is if they're working on campus, once they come back, they regain the F1 status, they can work. They can continue working on campus. No problem. So pretty much easy solution. Yeah. Let's go to reinstatement. Of course, downside, it takes forever. So it takes months. So far, there is no premium processing, hopefully soon. We talked about premium processing, but it's change of status to F1, not reinstatement. And right now it could take anywhere from 4 to 10, 12 months to be reinstated. Wow. So, but for those that absolutely do not want to leave the country, it's a good option. Also for those that need to apply for OPT, again, it is a good option. So I would say the downside is that if they are working on campus, they would not be able to during the time reinstatement is pending. Yeah. And remember what we said with the travel, once they come back, they can continue working on campus. So there are definitely, plus and minuses for both. There is no better option. It just depends, what works for that particular client. Do they have the visa, or are they afraid to travel out? So again, I'm not saying which one is better. Every case is different, and circumstances of, that individual are different.
Yeah.
It's just to remember to weigh all the pros and cons when deciding which option to use. With the reinstatement, however, if it's denied, ultimately it's denied, the person will start accruing unlawful presence, and they have to leave the U.S. quickly, because otherwise they are accruing unlawful presence. Once they go over 6 months and they leave, they're going to be barred for 3 years. So it's important to watch that, but there are definitely positives and negatives to both sides. But it's important that student fixes the status one way or the other.
Yeah,
That's the key.
Wow, I didn't realize there's so many things to consider as an F1 student, but thank you so much, Lutka, for bringing that to our attention. So folks, if you are that F1 student, or you're looking to secure your green card, your citizenship, your Canadian immigration adjustment of status, H-1B visas, marriage cases, whatever it is that you're looking for, go to NPZ Law Group by logging on to visaserve.com or call them at 201-670-0006. They can hand